Bank of America. The Bank of America, through its lawyers in Washington, hired 3 private intelligence organizations which posited a budget of $2 million a month to take down WikiLeaks. The documents from that are proven. The CEO of one of those intelligence organizations, H.B. Gary, resigned as a result. And where is the FBI investigation into private intelligence organizations operating on behalf of titanic banking interests like the Bank of America? Those papers, those policies by H.B. Gary, produced on behalf of the Bank of America, said that they should hack into WikiLeaks, that they should hack journalists who were supportive of WikiLeaks, that they should create division and discord, that they should submit fabricated documents to WikiLeaks in order to destroy its credibility. Where is the FBI investigation into that? There isn't one. But on the same hand, we see over 100 raids and arrests of our supporters in the United States, in England, in Spain, in Australia, who have done nothing but try to do an electronic equivalent of what is going on here today. An electronic sit-in of PayPal, Bank of America, Visa, MasterCard, and so on. Those individuals are now facing dozens of years of jail as a result of demonstrating their electronic political dissent. And in a modern world, that cannot be tolerated. We cannot tolerate a world where our interactions have become electronic, and yet there is no effective right to gather. There is no effective right to demand redress in the way that these people here today are doing so in the digital world. By November 14, the European Commission is due to make its first ruling as a result of our complaint against Visa and MasterCard. That will either open up a full investigation and prosecution of the antitrust activities of Visa and MasterCard in relation to WikiLeaks, or the investigation will be dropped. If the investigation is accepted, then that tells us something extremely important about the bank, and is the first sign of a strong disciplining force in relation to unlawful activities of major banking powers. If, on the other hand, that investigation is dropped by the European Commission, that tells us something important about Europe and its relationship to American banks. That is, it is servile to American banking interests. That Europe, as a nation, as a multi-state entity, has no effective power to support the interests of its own population against multinational corporations acting out of Washington foreign policy.
Julian, what do you hope this protest will achieve today? This protest?
I hope that this protest, more than anything else, will result in a similar sort of process to what we saw in New York, to what we saw in Cairo, to what we saw in Tunisia. It is not an instantaneous process. Rather, it is the professionalization of activism, the professionalization of demanding response and redress from an elite in society that is no longer reflecting the majority will. And if we look at what happened in Cairo and what happened in New York over the last few months, we have seen that through dedication, courage and professionalism, what seems to be an initially discordant group can come together and make sound political structures and political decisions. And I think we may see that today. It looks hopeful what's going on here. There's a lot of people, there's a good turnout, the people are behaving respectfully to each other. They're thinking about the big issues and not the small issues. And so that gives me great hope for how this demonstration and process will develop over the next month.
How do you think the police are behaving? I hear you had a run in the media, right?
The police here are kettling people. This was denounced only a few months ago, and recommendations were put in place in the MET that kettling be eliminated or reduced. And yet, we see it here used against a peaceful political protest. And I have spoken to the police here. They have said to me, this is a peaceful crowd, there's good weather, no troublemakers, and so on. So why is it that kettling is being used? This is not something that is routinely used in Australia or the United States or in Canada. It is a tactic that should only be used in the severest situation. It is fundamentally anti-democratic. We have speakers here and a well-behaved crowd trying to listen to them, engaging in an assembly, a basic democratic process, and yet others have been kettled away from them. The crowd is not so large that there is any risk of stampede. The crowd is well behaved, it is daylight, no one is drunk, etc. It is a perfect political crowd on the steps. There should be no kettling here.
Why do you think that's running for Parliament?
There are thousands and thousands of people here who have been broken up into different groups by the kettling. This is actually a really quite impressive turnout.
Okay, cool.
We must go back to what happened in New York only 3.5 weeks ago with the beginnings of Occupy Wall Street. There are only around 70 people on the first day, so this is an extremely impressive turnout. We perhaps can compare this great crowd with the turnout we saw for the 10th year of the Afghan war. The numbers here are substantially larger. This is an issue that clearly affects significant numbers of the British population, and they are willing, rightly, to turn up and make their sentiments known. Because of the situation, I cannot take part meaningfully in this process or any others because I am detained most of the time under house arrest in North.
How are you coping with that house arrest? You've seen quite relaxed in the sense that how are you mentally and physically coping with that position?
One can adapt to almost any situation with enough effort.
What do you say to those who say that solution is to withdraw the money from the bank? The first step of action.
Well, the important step of action is seeing which banks are good banks. There are some good credit unions, for example, operating in the United Kingdom and rest of Europe. People, yes, should withdraw their money from banks that have practices that they do not approve of or invest in companies that they do not approve of and put them into these other institutions. They have the same levels of protection in terms of financial insurance and roughly the same interest rates. So that is a good step for people to do, to not be fools of these banks, but rather play the market.